When was the exact moment you realized that it was over?
Story 1. I found out through a wrong sent message that I wasn't his first choice. Call it pride or ego on my part, but when the life you thought was a fairy tale turned out to be nothing but, I had to let it go. I, F45, married the first boyfriend I had right after high school. I was a transferee to the school, and I caught his eyes on the first day, or so I thought. As young loves go, I thought I was super lucky to have ended up with my high school sweetheart. I was pregnant, that's why we got married, but I really loved him, so the pregnancy just sped up things that would have happened anyway. You probably know where this is going. Like many other couples who married young, we were eventually disillusioned with our marriage. Or so I thought. It was just that. I kept telling myself that while it was painful that we were slowly growing out of love, at least what we had was real. So I thought it was just a 7-year itch or whatever, even though we were past our second decade anniversary. I really thought we were going to get past whatever it was. But if I was honest with myself, I just didn't want to call myself a failure. Money wasn't a real issue, because he was from a wealthy family. I had an administrative job in his father's mid-sized company, while he was the owner's son and de facto boss. Even when we had our 2 kids, we never really had to be concerned about money. Our constant and lingering issue was that our romance was just dying. He wasn't even cruel to me or anything like that. He just couldn't be bothered. As crazy as it sounded, I even fantasized one time that he had cheated so we would get into a big fight and make up. Anything that would signal that there was still spark in our relationship. I should have recognized that having a fantasy about your husband cheating just to get a reaction was completely unhealthy. I even entertained the thought of me cheating, but the truth was I didn't have the energy to do it. It was like the void in my marriage was so vast that it surpassed other aspects of my life. One night, I received a text message from a common friend who we hadn't heard from in years. It went something like, "She is back. Just please talk to her. I know you miss her." It was obviously not for me. I found it amusing, so I texted him back to tell him it was wrong sent. He replied back and apologized, but we still exchanged "how are yous." Later, I still couldn't shake that innocent-looking text off my mind. Somehow, something was telling me to look into it. I was overthinking, I knew, but I couldn't just shake it off. I probably must tell you that my name and my husband's are similar, like the feminine and male version of each other. Not quite, but close to it. That's also why I thought we were made for each other. That, and we also shared the last name because we were married. We hadn't been in touch with that friend for a long time, so our names saved in his phone probably looked similar. I had a feeling that text was supposed to be for my husband. At that time, it was a stretch. As I said, I was overthinking. I would probably just laugh it off and thank that friend for the temporary excitement that I felt. But again, I had a feeling that that text was something more. That thought stayed with me for days. I couldn't take it anymore and checked my husband's phone. It wasn't locked, and even then, we had no reason to lock our phones. It turned out I was right. The message was supposed to go to him. I read his message thread with that friend. They were talking about this girl. They were talking about her coming back home. She was still single. They talked about this misunderstanding and what could have been. I knew in my heart that that woman meant something big to my husband. So I researched more. I had to ask friends, those who became common friends, but were originally only his. I had to be discreet about it, although I don't know how subtle I was, given that his friends probably knew I was fishing for information. But anyway, I got what I was looking for. It turned out my husband and this woman were together before I came into the picture. Both were from upper-middle-class families, and they all thought they were going to end up together. Something must have happened because they broke up. It was a big deal when they did because they created drama. I guess both were really hurt. I didn't know if there was a third party, but whatever it was a misunderstanding. Then I transferred to their school, and my husband dated me soon after. I truly believed him when he said he loved me and wanted to marry me with or without my pregnancy. But learning that I was just a way to get back at the woman he loved, I was shocked. The perfect young love that I thought I had was nothing but a rebound relationship he thought he would have for a brief time. I didn't even know the woman when we were in school. She avoided us, I understand that now. Then I got pregnant. He was an honorable man, I know. And that's why it hurt so much. At that time of learning that all I had was a lie, I wished he wasn't so honorable. I wished he was a jerk and just didn't marry me. Because finding out that more than 2 decades of my life was a lie was devastating. I asked my husband about this. He didn't lie, not for a second. I also believed him when he said he was tempted to see her but didn't do it out of respect for me. But I knew at that time that we couldn't go on. He understood I was hurt and was sorry for it. We both understood why he was sorry, the magnitude of letting me believe when we were young that I was his true love. It seemed inconsequential for those outside the relationship, but it was the end for me. I told him it was over. I told him that it was a mistake that we got married. We both cried. I knew he was also hurting, not just because of what he did, but also because of what he did not do. He did not fight for her when he should have. Even up until the last minute, he was decent and civil. He did not even disagree when I said we should split. I think somehow, he also knew that our marriage was both killing our spirit. So we split, then divorced soon after. Even after all that, he still made sure I had good settlement. The kids even understood. One was already in college at that time, while the other was still in high school. Still, both of them accepted it when we told them about our impending divorce. I guess they were sad, but they showed extreme maturity when they said they understood and even thought it was probably the best decision for us. So that's it. I resigned from their company, of course. I waited a few months for my youngest to finish high school and go to college before I moved out myself. I found a small house just a couple of hours away. I also got another admin job. I admit I'm very lucky, though, because I got a nice settlement, so money isn't tight for me. My husband hadn't lived in our home since that night. He didn't sell the house so the kids could still have a home to go to from college, though. I dated a few after our divorce, but I wasn't really interested in being in a relationship, I found out. My ex-husband, though, I thought he and his ex-girlfriend would get back together immediately. But from what I heard from him himself, it took them months before they started dating. They got married after a few years. They didn't stay at our former home. They just bought a house not far from there. And yes, I met her. I couldn't even hate her because she was an authentic and nice person. And honestly, I was the other party in their love story. I guess it was a happy ending for all concerned. My friends and even my own family judged me for leaving him, though. I still get snide comments every now and then during family get-togethers, but nothing as bad as before. The important thing is that now, whatever is happening with my life, I feel that everything is real.
If you liked the story, please give it a thumbs up. Share the video and subscribe for more. Thank you very much.